Between 1876 and 1924, more than 4.5 Italians arrived to the U.S. 2 million alone came between 1901 and 1910, one being my great grandfather Vito Paradiso. It is crazy to think this exact route through Ellis Island was the same route that nearly 2 million Italian immigrants took to achieve the American dream. Imagine leaving your parents and loved ones at such a young age. Italians faced emotional drain when they parted from their families. They encountered isolation entering a country they knew nothing about, other than the opportunity it had to offer. They felt alienated in a new land where they would be unfamiliar with the language and customs of the majority of Americans. Although I have not encountered any of these conditions, I have family and friends who have. After conducting interviews with many Italian immigrants, I found they encountered these unexplainable emotions upon arrival to Ellis Island. These emotions and experiences are not targeted primarily to Italians, but to minority groups as a whole. After completing their inspection in the registry room, immigrants descended this divided flight of stairs, called the Stairs of Separation, found in Ellis Island, which was a gateway for over 12 million immigrants. The right-hand side led to the railroad ticket office, the left-hand side to the New York Ferry, and the central steps to the detention rooms. This stairway marked the parting of ways for many families and friends with different destinations. Before the entrance of Italians into America, the Irish and German fled their homelands to the U.S. for numerous reasons. In 1847, 52,000 Irish arrived in New York. 53,000 Germans arrived in New York as well. Irish fled the harsh living conditions that were caused by a devastating disease that destroyed Ireland's potato crop and starved and killed millions of Irish. Germans fled the economic hardship in Germany, where personal debt and employment rose, where farmers had no choice but to immigrate due to change of industries. Germany went from agricultural nation to an industrial one, leaving only the rich to prosper, while the middle class and lower income struggled. You are probably wondering, why did I add the immigration of the Irish and Germans into the equation? Simply because they were the two largest majority groups in the U.S. during Italian immigration. Also, the reasoning of fleeing their homeland was relatable to the Italians. According to Frank Camuso, an Italian immigrant whom I conducted an interview with, we were considered a minority group to the Germans, Irish, and Jews that were here before us. An Italian immigrant stated, she told him, I do not want to raise my children in this country any longer. I do not want no wars. I don't want no poverty. I want to go to the United States. You work over there. The children will work over there, and at least we'll eat. According to my grandfather, an Italian immigrant since the age of 20, all the jobs that no one took, Italians took. As of 1890, 90% of New York Public City's work employees were Italians. Half of the Italian immigrants were manual laborers. Only one-third of Irish and one-seventh of German population participated in these jobs. Millions of immigrant laborers helped build modern America. In most large cities, Irish workers had once dominated the building trades, but by the 1880s, Italians, Greeks, and Poles were becoming more prominent. In 1897, for example, about 75% of the laborers paving streets, digging sewers, and building bridges and subways in New York City were Italian immigrants, and the same was true of the major cities. Upon my visit at Ellis Island, I found this quote stated by an Italian immigrant. Well, I came to America because I heard the streets were paved with gold. When I got here, I found out three things. First, the streets weren't paved with gold. Second, they weren't paved at all. And third, I was expected to pave them. Many Italians who migrated to the U.S. were farmers. Although they entered the country as farmers, they did not want to pursue their career in this field. for a number of reasons. One, they had to make money as quick as possible, and farming was too time consuming. Two, land in America was expensive, and most Italians entered the U.S. penniless. Three, farming in America was isolated, and Italians did not want to distance themselves from other Italians. Four, farming reminded them of their harsh conditions back at home. Not only men were providing for the family, but children at a young age began working, and women started working in factories as well. Italians aimed to settle in neighborhoods they felt most comfortable, neighborhoods that preserved the language and customs of Italians. Within these neighborhoods, Italians' ways of life, such as food, close knit family organizations, religious practices, and language, would remain preserved. Neighborhoods usually became their permanent destination because they feared being separated from other Italians. They were afraid to venture beyond the familiar streets because they had very limited English vocabulary. Some stores refused to sell groceries to Italians or rent homes to them. Individuals who turned away Italians had hope that not accepting them will turn them back to their homeland. Roman Catholic churches were dominated by the Irish Catholic, but things began to change. In 1891, the first Catholic church was built that retained Italian Catholics. This church was named the Most Precious Blood of St. Michael. While the Italian population of New York grew, quality in the old country was deteriorating. Birth rates increased and death rates declined. Italy was becoming overcrowded. Low wages and high taxes made it hard to live. It was estimated that about 78% of Italian immigrants were men who planned to save money and return back to their homeland. Only 20 to 30% actually returned home. The remaining that stood in America worked their way up the economic scale. To conclude this presentation, I would like to say, as the second generation in my Italian family to be born in the U.S., I am the majority, but the people before me walk the streets of the U.S. as the minority. So, for those sitting in this classroom who believe to be minority, eventually you will become the majority. Don't give up on taking a stand because you're afraid of the public voice or opinion. Future generations will live a better life due to the decisions you make today.